Even as kids, when we were terribly poor, our parents tried to protect us from not having a good Christmas. But I can remember after we grew up, my father had a lot of things to say about the days when we were so poor. He always referred to them as the bad days. He said, "I hated those days. I hated them for what they did to us and what they did to me as a person." He said, "The problem with poverty," he said, "people don't understand this. But the problem with poverty is that poverty turns you into a nothing right in front of people. And that's what poverty did to me." He said, "I hated Christmas in those days." He said, "I felt so guilty hating the day of the Lord's birth. But every year, those church people did it to us again." He said, "You know what they would do? They would collect stuff for the poor, and they'd put it in baskets and bags, and they would pass our family's name around because we were about the poorest people they ever knew. Uh, they never met anybody who had to eat things that we found dead along the road, like our family had." He said, "Then they would come to our house, and right in front of me, while I was watching, they'd give my kids toys." He said, "All year long, what I wanted was a chance to do something so special for you kids that for at least once would make you look at me with some joy in your eyes." And they took that away from me too. Christmas ought to be a time when people get to feel good about themselves. And I think we feel best about ourselves, not so much when we receive, but when we give. Think of the times that you feel good about your life. Those times are the times when you did something special for somebody else. At Christmas, people need to be able to do something special. Parents need to be able to do something special for their kids. When I came to Crosslines, and I couldn't stop thinking about my father and what Christmas had done to him and what it should have meant to him. And I think maybe the first year or so, we worked with another agency and they took baskets of stuff into people's houses. Then we got to talking about that. And we said, why not bring this stuff together and let the families come and choose? And we started out very small. We started out at the Rosedale Methodist Church. And we had a couple of pool tables and some of those dinner tables, and we just piled stuff on it. And some of the families that knew us came, and they just selected stuff, just unpiled it and went through and chose what they could find. But then it began to grow. We moved into the Rosedale Christian Church basement, and then we moved up to our old office on South 37th Street. We had a whole basement there, and churches got in on this. And different churches started sponsoring different sections of the Christmas store. Knox Presbyterian Church took up the toys, and they spent all year raising money for toys. They go into grocery store or into stores like Kmart and so on when they're having sales and buy the stuff or talk managers out of stuff that they hadn't thought they were going to give. But it's only new toys. The first thing a kid asks another kid after the Christmas holidays is, "What'd you get for Christmas?" Now, who wants to say a broken wagon or a train, but there was no transformer? So it's only new toys. Indian Heights United Methodist Church for years has gotten the clothing ready for the Christmas store, and several other churches working with them now. Colonial United Church of Christ gets housewares. These are gifts that parents can have. Their blankets and their tools and their perfume and jewelry and things like that. And then working with them is Westwood Christian Church. And also, we have the sharing community, which is Methodist disciples and Mennonites working together on the food. And what happens now is that we have about 600 families who apply for this. And we find that we get sheets on them, how many children and all that sort of thing. And then the families come, and the parents go through the store, and they can choose. And they pick the stuff they want for their kids. Now, they pay for it, which is an interesting thing. For years, we didn't charge for it. And a group of mothers came to me and said, can we pay like $3 a family? And I said, well, it's free to us. It's free to you. They said, look, almost all of us can come up with $3 a family. If we can't, then we'll work it out. I mean, we're not going to say to somebody, You haven't got $3. You're too poor. Get out of here. That's not the way Crosslines works. But they said that way, we can come through, we can pick up this stuff, and we can go home, and we can give it to our kids and say to our kids, we bought this. We went shopping like anybody else. We chose this. It comes as a matter of choice out of our hearts. And I think the ability to give is so important. The other thing that's so important about Crossline's Christmas store is that there are hundreds of people involved in making it happen. There are the people who give money for the stuff. There are the people who give the toys, who give the food and clothing. There are the churches that work for months each year getting ready for this. There are the people who come at the Christmas store and help the families go through. There's such a supportive thing to this. You know, a lot of people say, look, I'm only one person. What can I do? Think of all those persons working together to make that Christmas store happen. I've often thought about the people who make the Christmas store happen and how important it is for this thing to happen. I think if I had one gift to give all of the volunteers who are involved in this, that gift would be the ability to see what Christmas would have been like for 600 families if they hadn't had the Christmas store.